Hi everyone, welcome back to Bar with Sarah. I'm Sarah and today I'm focused again on Jump with Sarah, our new bounce workouts that are going to be coming out very, very soon. Hopefully you watched my first video. If not, link is in the description to see the basics of setup. That's where I cover the trampoline, how to get on it safely, the equipment that you're going to need, the basic bounces, the 2-foot positions, and all of the alignment details that you need to know. And again, much of this will be familiar to you if you've been taking Bar with Sarah, but it's going to be very rebounder specific. Today's video is going to be about modifications. So I'm going to set up some options for you in case you don't have a rebounder yet. I love mine, best fitness purchase I've made, but I know that's not in everybody's budget. So I'm going to show you some things you can do for the bounce session so you can take the rest of the class, which is similar to a regular bar class, and then add different cardio intervals in. That's one option. I'm also going to talk about how to modify the moves. You might have seen my previous modifications video. This is going to be similar, but slightly more focused on the rebounder. So how to modify for upper body, for lower body, and then thinking about if the stability and the balance is a challenge for you, what you can do to modify that. Okay, let's get started. So I'm going to teach the class assuming that you have a rebounder, hopefully the Jumpsport, with a bar attachment. Highly recommend. Jumpsport pays me nothing, just so we're clear. But I do love the Jumpsport rebounder. So it's possible you don't have a rebounder, and that's okay. There are some things that you can do instead. So we'll have some cardio intervals. The reason the rebounder is great for that is you get the lymphatic drainage. So I love it because it's really low impact, but there's some other things that you could do instead. So let me show you those. One could be if you have a step bench or a step of any variety. It's not quite the same, but it's going to be similar. So if instead of bouncing, I can just step up and then tap. So basically I'm stepping right, left, tap, left, right. So you can get really creative with this. This is just like a really basic way to get the blood flowing. I'm also an avid stepper, so you could do like a knee up, or you could do a ham curl. So the whole idea, again, it's just to lightly raise the heart rate. It feels really nice. I guess I need to do a step workout. So that's one option if you have a step, but maybe you don't have a step. You could also do some low impact cardio just on your mat, and you wouldn't need shoes or anything for that. So you can just do a step touch, or I'm not going to fit on my screen, or a double step touch, step touch, step touch, or maybe you have that little hop in the middle. Feels really nice. You can also step side to side. That feels nice. Maybe going a little down and up. Or with that same motion, you can just curl do the hamstring curl, curling that leg back with a flexed foot, or just a knee up. Or you can do our knee lifts, our long lunges, anything that we do in our warm up. Or you know what, maybe you want to take it up a level. You want to do jumping jacks, squat jumps. You do whatever that you want to do for the cardio portion. So if I'm bouncing, that means you pick your favorite low impact cardio, wherever that is. Could be on the ground, could be using a step, could be something else I haven't even thought of. So if you think of something else, drop me a comment and I can recommend that to everyone else who doesn't have a Jumpsport. Okay, so those are some cardio modifications. And again, if you're going to be doing these exercises on the floor instead of on the Jumpsport, know that you might need to go deeper into the move to match the intensity of the trampoline, because on the trampoline, again, it's an unstable surface, so your body has to work a little bit harder to maintain that instability. So sometimes when we're on the rebounder, we're going to be working up higher, but you need to listen to your body. If you're not feeling challenged enough, you can slide down deeper into the move. Speaking of sliding down deeper into the move, let's talk about modifications that you might need to make on the rebounder. Okay, so here I am on my rebounder. Let's first talk about modifications for the cardio, for the bounce portions. So we went over the 4 basic bounces in the setup video. So let's see, here I am, my hip distance parallel, just bouncing side to side to warm up. This is a relatively low impact move. My heels are lifting, but the balls on my feet are staying planted. This still might be too much for you, especially if you're pre or postnatal. Please talk to your physician. If you have diastasis, separation of the abdominal wall, anything like that. So first thing that you can do is you can just walk in place in the trampoline, holding on. That might feel better for you. You can stay here and just do truly a micro lift, or right now my heels aren't even lifting at all. So I'm holding onto that bar and I'm just putting a little bit of energy, and that's giving me a little bit of bounce. If this is still too much for you, go see your practitioner and see maybe what you could do so that rebounding is an option for you. Most people are able to do this without lifting the feet. So that's what you can do if you want to make the bounce more moderate, or of course you can take it down into the floor. I hope you're able to bounce because again, it's very restorative, very kind on your joints. The other thing is that you might want to take your bounce up a little bit. So we talked about kind of the basic bounce, and then one of the more advanced bounces is here in parallel, where I'm doing the double leg jump, lifting off of the mat. So that's really great, but there's some other more advanced jumps that you can work out to. So you can add a twist. You can also do that twist holding on. So I'm just twisting at the hip. Oh, that feels really good. You can do more of a run. So I'm just tapping those feet forward and back. I can go out and in. So kind of like the bottom half of a jack. Didn't know what that word is. Again, we talked about side to side, but if you want to make it more intense, you can just point the toes, or you can do your skier side to side. That really makes it hard. Okay, coming back in. So figure out what the best jump is for you. Jump with Sarah is not about jumping like I'm jumping. I would say I prefer a moderate to higher intensity jump because there's nothing like the joy, I can't stop bouncing, there's nothing like the joy of a rebounder to me. But as a reminder for Jump with Sarah, we're barefoot. We're not wearing shoes. So a lot of the really high impact rebounding stuff, whether it's choreographed or some of the really intense cardio, we're just not going to be doing these workouts. That's not what this is about. We're barefoot so we can do the bar exercises. So again, no impact, low impact. You can hear it in my voice. It was moderate getting to slightly higher impact. But again, as I said in my first video, you don't want to be jumping and letting the trampoline shoot you up into the air. You want to think about controlling the exit and the re-entry. So as I'm jumping off, I'm not trying to go super high, and I'm landing in a way that's cushioning the joints. So my knees are soft. I'm not jumping like this with my knees locked out. Don't do that. It's not good for your joints. Okay, I'm gonna ease my bounce here. Now let's talk about some upper body modifications. So I'm gonna step down and grab my weights. As a reminder, never, ever, ever have your weights on the trampoline. You can carefully hold onto that bar to step off, and then to pick up those weights, and then step back on. Safety's first. Okay, so we'll be doing some light weight work when we're on the rebounder, and I can tell you, I'm gonna fail with twos. That's how hard it is. So let's say I'm here in a V position. So I've drawn my heels together. That's pretty common for our upper body work. And I want to make sure my knees are soft so you can see a little bit of daylight between my legs, because again, I don't want to be locked. That's not what we're going for, especially when we're here bouncing. So let's talk about modifications. So we'll be doing a lot of things, for example, like a lateral raise, or we'll be doing a curl, or we'll be pitching forward to do back body things. So let's talk about how to make that easier. So the first thing that you can do for a lot of these moves is to make them single-sided. So carefully, I'm going to step down again and put one of my weights down. So it's possible that you need to hold on for a little bit more stability. So instead of holding 2 weights and going up and down, I would keep one hand here on the bar, and then I would do my arm with my weight, and I can switch it out and do the other side. This I find is especially true when we move to the back body. So I'm stepping back a little bit, just like we do on the floor, hinging at the hip, pitching forward, shoulder down its place. So I'm doing that T. Sometimes we'll do it single-sided. I like to be efficient, so we'll generally do both. So maybe you need to hold on and then switch. Same with the triceps. Maybe you need to hold on and switch. So that's the first modification that you can make. The second modification, of course, is to drop off the weights entirely. And that's possible for you to do too. If you're doing it on the rebounder, I would say 2 or 3s is ideal. If you can maintain your form with 1s or with no weights, that's great. Probably never more than 4 or 5. You don't need it. You don't need it, trust me. Because everything's going to be elevated. So because the bar is blocking us, for example, we're not going to be doing a bicep curl down here because the bar's in the way. So that means everything's extended and everything's going to be a little bit more intense. Okay, so again, you can modify by using less weight. You can also modify, especially in some of the back body moves, by not coming down as low. So if I'm doing that tricep kickback, instead of hinging down almost to the bar with my flat back, I can stay upright a little bit. Same with those T's for the back shoulder. Instead of lunging and pitching all the way forward, I can stay more upright. So it's very similar to regular bar, where the more parallel you are to the ground, generally that's going to be harder. Okay, let me pick up that other weight. What about the other direction? Let's say you think, oh my word, this is far too easy. What can I do to make it tougher? So already it's going to be tougher than when you're on the ground. So just keep that in mind because you've got this dynamic surface. Your legs and your core are going to be working much harder than if you were standing on the floor. But there are a couple things that you can do to make it a little bit tougher. So again, one thing that you can do is, again, if you're doing it both sides, that's great. Another thing you can do is you can come down deeper into the move. So in this case, sliding down that imaginary wall, that's going to give you a little bit more in the lower body, and everything's going to heat up. For some of the moves, especially let's say in the back body, maybe instead of doing it flat-footed, you're going to come into releve. So especially with our holds, maybe I'm here in triceps and in a hold with the balance. So again, you can take the weight up, you can go deeper into the move, you can go lower into the move, and you can add some balance. For the upper body, it's pretty similar. We're going to be doing push-ups here on the bar and pull-ups. Pull-ups are already pretty tricky, so I'll show you modifications to reduce your range of motion. So maybe you're pulling up just an inch, your knees are bent, compared to a full range pull-up with your legs extended. That's going to make it a lot harder. And if you don't have a bar that you can put weight on, then I'll give you some options, some alternate activities that you could do in that case. Okay, I'm going to carefully set my weights down. Okay, let's talk about some modifications when we're doing things for the lower body. So the biggest thing I think that folks will run into is that you'll have tightness in your feet, your calves, your shins, and that is going to be magnified when you're on this dynamic surface. So as much as possible, we do want to be on releve for a lot of these moves because it's going to restrict or it's going to limit and lessen any negative impact on our joints. So I'll turn on profile. So if I'm here in thigh work in parallel and I bend down, if you look at my form, all of a sudden now my knees are jutting out past my toes. If I come up onto releve, then I'm in slightly better alignment. So again, we talked about releve in our initial setup video. A reminder that this is really not releve because when I slide down, it's dumping some of that into my low back rather than into my quads. So again, you want to think about the high heel, putting the high heel on, But to be able to do that, I have to have not just strength in my calves, especially on the trampoline, but I have to have flexibility in the top of my feet. So it's possible that you'll start doing these moves and realize I need to stretch my feet. So just as a reminder, you can always just curl that foot under to get a little release. And again, think about eating a banana or something that's potassium rich. That's also going to help with cramping, but it might be a sign that you need to spend more time strengthening your feet and your calves and stretching out the tops of your feet and maybe your toe flexors. So we'll stretch those, but that could be a limitation. So I prefer that you just follow my cues. There will be some moves. So for example, I'll turn on profile. Let's say we're doing some seat work. So I'm going to have this leg closest to the bar be my standing leg. So I would start by shifting that weight back and then hinging and lifting so that this standing leg is soft. The weight's over the heel. So this is more of a beginner. So that's perfectly fine in seat work. But we can also make seat work more advanced by taking it up into releve. And so now the weight is over the ball of the foot. So there are options for things like that, especially in seat work, I'll give them to you. But by and large, if I say releve, we want to protect the knees and we want to work into releve. It is possible that if you have a lot of problems with your feet, you might need to wear shoes at the beginning. But it's kind of a double-edged sword, because if you just stick with the shoes, then you're never going to build the strength in your feet that we're looking to do. So another thing that we'll do in our one of the toughest exercises we'll do for our legs are going to be leg lifts. We've done these in class. Guess what? You can do them on the rebounder. So we'll have one leg here as our base and this other leg here as our mover, as our working leg. And this is just a reminder for any of our long limb moves, we want to have a nice straight leg. So everything is nice and tight and locked, and then I'm lifting and lowering, lifting and lowering. That's hard. It's so hard. What I don't want to see is the bend in the leg. So this is actually not a good modification. Why? It's not working the quad. It's putting everything into the hip flexor. We're not trying to build the hip flexor. We actually want to build the quad. So noticing for yourself if you feel like you need to bend the leg, if you have that inhibitor of you don't have the flexibility in your hamstring, so just to shorten that range of motion, right? So I would rather you keep a straight leg here. You're getting the work. Then again, you know me in the kick line. We're not kicking. Again, same thing. We don't want to use that momentum. Likewise, if you want to make it harder, you can always do that move on releve, assuming that you can keep that leg nice and long. Same thing's true when we go to seat work. So I'll do it with the leg closest to you, that's not generally how we'll set it up. So my weight's over my heel. So if I have to change the shape of my leg and when I'm working into my back, that's telling me my range of motion is too big. So if you're noticing that, or you notice your hip turning out, scoring that hip, and then just reducing your range of motion. That's fine, my glute is on fire. Or again, if you want to make it more advanced, coming down more parallel and increasing the range of motion, assuming that you can stay in the right alignment. And again, if you've been taking Barre with Sarah, you know what that is, and you know I'm going to remind you of it. The last thing for modifications is stretching. So we are going to do our stretching, or it's going to be set up on the rebounder. But you don't have to do it on the rebounder. So if you feel unstable, you want to step off. So here I am, let's say I'm going to do my quads, so right hand to right foot, just like we would on the floor. So I'm holding on with one hand. If I'm doing some of the upper body stretches, I'll move my legs out, inhaling up, walking those fingertips down the back. And again, if that doesn't feel good for you, that's really not the point. The most important thing is doing the stretch. So instead, stepping off, holding on to something stable that's not moving, maybe like your rebounder, for example, or again, doing that stretch on the floor. Okay, so today let's review. We covered some different cardio options if you don't have a rebounder. So you can use a step. You can do some of the basic moves like step touches, leg lifts, ham curls on the floor. Then we talked about some modifications for bounces, especially if you need a lower impact bounce, and some things that are a little bit higher impact. We talked about upper body modifications, not just stepping off, but perhaps working single-sided or working lower for more intensity. And then thinking about for the lower body, again, decreasing that range of motion, staying flat-footed instead of releve for the exercises for the back body, but realizing that building strength and flexibility in your feet and your shins is going to be important. And then lastly, stretching. We're going to be doing it on the rebounder, but if that doesn't feel good for you, knowing you can always step off onto the floor. As with all of my videos, we cover a lot in a short period of time. So if you have any questions about Jump with Sarah, which will be launching very, very soon, just throw something in the comments. I'm happy to chat to you about it. Rebounding is one of my favorite ways to work out. We get the burn of barre with the lymphatic drainage and the gentle raise to the heart rate. I can't wait to do it with you very, very soon. So thanks for joining for this video on modifications, and let's bounce together soon. Bye.